something we heard a lot at FHS in Riyadh when we were just there, which is that a lot of spaces, and this isn't just a Saudi comment, it was a global comment of like placemaking as that industry of hotels, etc. They make the place and they make it beautiful and it's amazing. And then they're like, okay, the doors are open. Come to the beautiful place we just made. And what we heard was there wasn't much thought to the experience and the activations of how people are going to interact with that space. And there's a real need for that. You clearly start with the experience and then figure out what the place looks like around it. So I want to take us with that in mind to Anassa, the Addition, and the Red Sea. You just finished putting a restaurant in a Addition hotel, which is part of the Red Sea development, which is an enormous multi-billion-dollar development in Saudi Arabia.
I think it's one of the nicest hotels in the Red Sea. It's lovely. I was like, I'm in a dream. What is this? Right?
Which is amazing and part of my point in that they make beautiful spaces, but was it activated? And I'll ask a question in a second. The Addition is an Ian Schrager hotel that he partnered with Marriott. And Ian started his whole career in the club world. And as Ian says this, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, we went to open a hotel and we were like, why can't the hotel feel more like the club? Because the club is about people dancing and hanging out and doing a thing. And back in the 70s when he did this, it wasn't thought of like that at all. And lo and behold, his hotels became places that people went to even when they weren't sleeping at the hotels.
Yeah.
Right? And so as he evolved that, he got bigger and bigger. But the Addition was interesting when you hear him tell the story because it really was a partnership with a very, very large I Make Places hotel brand that he wanted to still keep the Ian Schrager-ness to what he does. And now bring us to the Red Sea project. The Addition is the property that Marriott has that is supposed to be the most like that. And you just took your approach to how you make restaurants and put it in the middle of that hotel brand, in the middle of the Red Sea project. So with that all in mind, talk to me about how that project maybe was different or was very similar to how you did all the rest of your restaurants and some of the components to that.
So the approach was the same. We go to the space, we feel it, we make it work. The only difference was that we came in after the restaurant was structurally designed and they already had a vision for the place. Of course, I changed a lot and we fixed things. But the weird thing about Anassa, I spent so much time in the Red Sea in the last couple of months, going and coming, driving from Jeddah to there, experiencing different peak times in the Red Sea. Pre to our preview opening, I was there for around 15 days. During that whole time, the hotel was busy, like very busy. During Eid, it was up to 100% capacity, which was insane. However, what my takeaway from that whole experience is that this project, personally, for me, is my first real life experience of the 2030 vision. For me, as a Saudi, right? I'm in a hotel with my children, having a good time, having breakfast. The people sitting next to me are Saudis, foreigners, white people, people who are conservative, people who are covered. Everyone is living in harmony together. No one is uncomfortable. In my head, again, remember, I come from the old times. This is, for me, I kept on looking at this and it's like the actual persona of what His Royal Highness actually said, right? We hear a lot about Vision 2030 and the application of it and creating a community that allows everyone to flourish and whatever. It's amazing, but I actually lived it. And I kept on telling people, I mean, Jeddah was always, an old city and it's filled with all kinds of people and it's evolved and everything. But this specific thing where something that we as Saudis would usually do to travel, right? We travel to go on vacation and, we'd go to the beach and we'd swim and whatever. And we never thought that we would do it here in our country. And now we're doing it. And it's seamless. In my head, I thought there'd be a lot of bumps. There'd be a lot of a pendulum shift or something. Nothing. In my head, right? Again, I'm talking about my own projections of what I grew up with. And I always thought that there was this gap, that we can't see each other, me and let's say the conservatives, and we can't have a conversation. We can't be in an environment because we won't accept each other. That's not true. I kept on saying to my sister, actually, what this for me is like a reality check. I'm like, what, are we really in Saudi? And everyone is happy. Everyone's having a good time. No one's bothered. And you have the people, from the bikini to the burqa. Everyone's there. And everyone's having their own space and enjoying themselves and going out and doing water sports and going to restaurants, and girls are on girls trips and guys are on guys trips and families are together and children are there. And for me, I'm like, this is the personification of it, of this whole thing. And I felt so humbled that I was chosen to put a restaurant in that, let's say, a lot of Saudis, this was their first time experiencing this for real. Yani, in the big cities, fine, but to experience what we usually experience traveling when we're abroad, when we're wherever, for the first time, for me at least, this is real. And it's amazing and it's seamless and everyone's happy and we're having a great time and people are eating and playing and building sandcastles on the beach. I almost, I feel like I want to cry because the child in me, the teenage Basma, would never imagine this. I mean, the 46-year-old Basma keeps double checking herself. Are we really in this space? Is this really happening? And it is. So for me, Anassa, I would have done it regardless, just to have that experience and to be part of it and to do well and people being happy and loving the food and getting the feedback was so amazing. And people kept on saying, thank you, this is amazing, we're very happy, we're very proud, whatever. And I'm like, I feel like I've accomplished something. Like, really, in my city and Riyadh and whatever, big cities, but this is a huge idea. So this man had this idea, and I'm actually a little tiny bit like small part of it, but I'm part of it. And I'm living it and I'm sharing it with my children. And I brought my mother, and my German grandmother was sitting there at the beach saying, I remember coming in 52 to Saudi Arabia when there was one tree. It's amazing. It's a beautiful time to be in Saudi Arabia right now. I mean, for me, I always laugh. I tell my daughter, when I was your age, I wanted to just go out, leave, go to the US. I went to US for school. Then I went this, and I always thought, and now I just want to be part of this change. And I wish I was younger, I wish I was much, much younger to get to go and grow up with all of this and enjoy all of this. There's a joke among my generation. We want compensation for teenage and young life that we didn't actually have all of this.
That's funny.
But no, I'm humbled and I'm very happy, and I'll always strive to do more of this and to be part of this and to leave like a little tiny impact on what's happening. It's just amazing.
Do you think the way you speak about that, it sounds like it may open, and maybe your German grandmother part was what's making me think this, of it makes it also a great experience for non-Saudis to come to Saudi and experience the Saudi hospitality that you mentioned earlier.
You don't understand the amount of non-Saudis. I was in Bali in April of last year. Yes, April of 2025. And we were sitting on the pool in Ubud, in a Ritz-Carlton actually. And this couple next to us, they were talking and they kept on saying Red Sea. This is last year. Red Sea. And I'm like, I'm sure they're talking about Egypt, right? Anyway, so of course, the nosy part of me is like, hi, where are you guys from? They were from Portugal, and they are planning their summer holiday in the Red Sea. And I was flabbergasted. And I was like, okay, really? How do you know about it? And they wanted to go, I think, to one of the Ritz-Carltons in the Red Sea, and the ones in the island Najuma, I think, or the St. Regis. But there's a lot of people. In my restaurant here in Jeddah, I got maybe 14, 15 groups of Italians and French and actually from South America. They stop in Jeddah, part of their tour of Saudi, and then they continue to the Red Sea, to Ula, to whatever. And for me, it's like, wow, okay, amazing, welcome, right? We're very hospitable people. And when we see this interest and the influx of people that would have never thought of Saudi as a tourist destination or as a holiday destination for them, now coming and enjoying their time here and talking to me about how safe they feel, and they're running around in the Corniche and jogging, and then they'll go to the islands. So welcome, come on, come here, we'll show you a good time.
And it is such a beautiful place, and I feel like so many non-Saudis are able to discover that now, and then that creates the conversation to be like, do you know what I did? I'm sure that couple you just mentioned will do that or has done that and then has raved about it because it is an amazing and beautiful thing. And with restaurants like yours being put there, that problem that I was explaining in FHS of it being a beautiful thing that isn't really an experience or has an activation, restaurants like yours is creating that experience and activation.
I've met in those 10 days people from Miami, from California, from Portugal, from Italy, Australians. Listen to this couple, they came to Saudi and they're road tripping around all of Saudi. Older couple, retired couple, and they're loving it. And they're asking me for like tips. And then they went to my restaurants in Jeddah. We became like friends on Instagram. It was amazing. It's really, really nice. I mean, the golf course, my restaurant's overlooking, any real golfer would be like, this is heaven. Heaven. It's so beautiful. My brother-in-law only came to the restaurant because of the golf course. But
in all of my trips, I have yet to get up there. So that's on my list. It's on my list for the next one.
We're formally open in September, so come after September.
Okay, I'll come after September. So we talked about Saudi hospitality. We just talked about the Red Sea project and how amazing that is, both for internal or locals or Saudis and international travelers, visitors. What's your take on restaurant imports that are like the Carbones of the world or the Miloses of the world being put in different places versus homegrown, equally amazing or same caliber type restaurants? You have a lot of, in my opinion, you have a lot of those restaurants that I would put head to head with some of the big named culinary restaurant experiences that they seem to put all around the world because that draws people to come to them. But I'm curious, like as someone who has seven restaurants?
MashaAllah, MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
What's your take on that versus having more restaurants like your own?
So I'm going to answer it in two phases. Phase one, I need to clarify that let's say the restaurant industry in Saudi Arabia is very, very, very young. There are almost, I can't even count them, but there's only a few that are, let's say, heritage restaurants that have been from family to grandfather to father, very few that have those. And in the, let's say, high-end caliber of restaurants, almost none existed before the late 90s. Nothing. Maybe late 90s, 2000s, there was maybe one or two restaurants. And so there was the need for that. And the need was now. We need to do it now. So let's invite everyone. And we did that in 2019, where we had the first Jeddah season. We invited a lot of the restaurateurs and the people who work in hospitality and restaurants, bought the rights to restaurants, franchised restaurants, and brought them into the country. And there was a huge demand, and people were responding really well to it. So people started looking at the industry and bringing in more restaurants. During that time is when us little people were like, okay, now is the right time to actually do what we want to do. And we started building our restaurants. I mean, I opened my first restaurant in 2016, give or take. So we started building restaurants. There are some, like in Jeddah, we have the Laylati group, which is from the Attas family. They used to own hotels, and then they opened restaurants. And they were restaurants that we all know and grew up with. They're growing now, but they're a big family that's already in that. So there's only a few of those. And now the restaurateurs and the young chefs and whatever are working and developing and creating restaurants exactly of the same like experience and exercise that I've been going through in the last, let's say, 15 years. So this is why a lot of these restaurants were imported, because everyone thought, yes, amazing, there's a lot of money in this, there's a need, there's a demand, so let's bring them. And the problem was that a lot of these restaurants didn't understand the culture, let's say. So maybe they couldn't flourish, or maybe they couldn't achieve what the Saudi palate actually wanted. You know, only a few stayed. I personally think only a few made it and became strong. There are some super gold brands, everyone knows them. You know, they're strong and they do really well. But today, I think it is very apparent that the local restaurateurs, the local chefs have the infrastructure, some of the tools, and are able to compete on an international level. Some of the restaurants that you will come and see here in Saudi are up there. And I'm not just saying this, but I personally think that the restaurants where the restaurant owners, the actual owners, and the people that are actually standing in the restaurants, actually, you know, developing the food with their team, working on all of that, it resonates more. I personally, I've had enough of going to the same restaurant in every city. And I told you this, I think, when we met, right? Going to the same restaurant in London, in Dubai, in New York, eating the same food, having the same menu. And there's no F&B DNA, right? Every city needs to have its own F&B DNA. The restaurants that you're not going to have anywhere else. Why would I go somewhere that I've already had this once and twice? The same people actually are in those restaurants. They're just dressed differently. They're in a thobe here. They're in pants and a shirt there. Why not experience something new? Support local, always, right? The grassroots concepts, I personally feel, make the biggest effect. I enjoy them more. When I visit any of the big cities, I don't go to the same restaurants that we have in every big city. I try to find the new concept, the up-and-coming chef, the up-and-coming restaurant, the restaurant that's reviewed by one of the food critics and it's getting a lot of hype, something new, something different. This is what you want to try, right? I think local is always better.
I agree with you totally. The places that always touch me the most are the ones that feel the most of the place. Even if you're eating something that's not of the place. Like we were talking before, you have a Greek restaurant, you have a steakhouse, but it's done of the place. It feels very Jeddah when I'm there. And I would imagine whatever the Red Sea feels like, eating in that Greek restaurant feels different than eating in your Greek restaurant in Jeddah, but it still feels of the place that you're in. And that place being in the country of Saudi Arabia. New York, I can do that all day long with you. I could give you 100 of those right now. Like going to the Italian restaurant that's in every single place or going to the steakhouse that's in every single place, not nearly as exciting as going to like the original Delmonico's Steakhouse that was the second restaurant ever made in the United States. And you know, it's radically different than it was then now, but still, like, you have all that history and that legacy, and they do the thing, and it's very of New York to have that.
Right. I've been to New York in a really long time, but
if you come, you should come, obviously. We'll do all the local things. All right, I have a couple rapid-fire questions as we close for you. You can't answer with your restaurant, but, like, favorite restaurant you've been to anywhere, because I know you travel a ton, too, so favorite restaurant you've been to recently that you loved the experience of?
Recently, I went to a taverna in Athens. Actually, no, I'll change my answer. I went to an omakase restaurant by a Greek guy in Athens, had only 20 seats, out of this world. I'll send you the name. I can't remember the name. Otto something, maybe. I'll check it. I can still feel the taste of the fish in my mouth. It was amazing. An amazing experience.
A concept that you would want to create that you have yet to create?
An omakase restaurant, maybe. Maybe where I seat you there and I feed you and you don't say anything.
I love it. Omakase has, in New York, it's changed its definition here a little bit in that omakase.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So when you say an omakase restaurant, do you mean a Japanese cuisine omakase restaurant, or do you just mean a omakase experience that serves different kinds of cuisine?
I think I want to do a hybrid of it, but a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But definitely, you sit, what you're allergic to, we feed you.
I love it. I think that expectations is a big part of what we haven't said that word yet in this whole conversation, but I think that that's really what we're all talking about is people have expectations, and then are those expectations met, exceeded, or not met at all? So this may take you a minute to think about, so please take a pause if you need to, but this is not a culinary question. A recent time in which your expectations were exceeded and that surprised you.
Oh, it's the Red Sea.
Okay,
It's the Red Sea experience. It exceeded my expectations in every way. Honestly, I was excited. When I started, there was nothing. 2 years ago, when I went on site with the Edition team, I'll send you a photo. There was sand. And I was in a hard hat and a fluorescent shirt, and that was it. And I went 3-4 times before we actually started the work to see the place and feel it and all of that. But when we actually opened and the hotel was at 100%, and you had the diverse segments of people from all over the world, and it worked, and it was fun. And I didn't have one complaint from my 10-year-old that she's bored or she had nothing or she didn't want to know what to do. Now one complaint in 15 days, that is up there. My teenager also had fun, went from one hotel to another, to the water. The water park is insane. I did an ice plunge, but that exceeded my expectations.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm a little sad that we weren't doing this in person, but soon enough.
It's okay. Soon enough.
We'll be in the
maybe.
same place again.
Yes, definitely.
So thank you. This has been
Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in Saudi, maybe the Red Sea.
Yes,
soon.
definitely. I can't wait to get there.